name is Victor Norman. I am the co-chair of the Devens Jurisdiction Framework Committee. This is our regular meeting. It's January 11th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order and I call in the roll. Alan Minoyan.
Present.
Janice Livingston.
Present.
Robert Fontenot.
Present.
Rick Maori. Kim Reagan. Brian Sawyer. Enrico Capucci. Mike McGovern. Here. Bill Marshall. Jim DeZutter.
Here.
Peter Lower.
Present.
John Cater.
Present.
Odile Smith. Christian Collins. We have a quorum. We are in order. So first, what I'd like to do, this meeting is being held in Air. Air is our host this quarter, and I'd like to turn the meeting over to Janice Livingston, who will take things from here. Janice?
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. This is the first time that we've all been together physically in over 2 years. Some of you are a lot taller than I remember. So the first thing on the agenda is everyone had a chance to review the October 12th, 2022 meeting minutes that were sent to them the other day.
I would be happy to make a motion, Madam Chairman, to approve the minutes of October 12th, 2022.
All right, do I have a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? All right, and the chair says aye. All right, meeting minutes from October 12th have been approved. Okay. So the town of Air would like to give you an update via Alan, who is going to give us an update as to a 2-day symposium that he is planning. So Alan, take it away.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Make sure you speak to the mic so people can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, those planks aren't
Okay.
down there.
Oh, actually, all right. Well, you kind
You
of
want to hear what? You sit right here for now.
I'll let you stand up.
Okay.
That might be swollen.
So this, it's weird being together again.
No, right? We'll get used to it then. All right, no, just quickly to go through, and we have been talking about this wonderful happening for a while, and we are now ready to make it a reality. So right now, tentative, Friday and Saturday, a 2-day symposium, February the 24th and 25th, 2023. They're calling the Air Devens Envision 2033 2-day symposium. Okay, and there are a number of goals we hope to achieve through this. Of course, you know, we are forming now and building our Air Citizens Committee to begin the whole, you know, assessment process of the land and all actively participating in the report that we hope to produce. And so out of this, you know, we want that committee to be formed. We also know that over the last decade, so many new families have moved into Air in the region. A lot of folks think, oh, we know Devens is here. We know that whole history. We've been here forever. So many folks who they have no idea of the history. There's an opportunity for a lot of new folks in our community to step back and get a comprehensive understanding, okay, of what this is all about and what we're all moving towards in 2033. You can go to the next slide. So just kind of, you know, this is still in the formative stages. We're putting it together. It's going to go fast now. But so just for a, again, preliminary. Friday, we're going to kick it off, you know, with a invitational Air Devens brunch. And we're going to have the venue will be the Great Hall, right here in Town Hall, magnificent historic Great Hall. So we're going to start off with a nice brunch. Everybody, right? Everybody digs brunch. I don't remember the last time I went to brunch. Let's do it, right? I know it's a very 80s kind of thing.
Is it?
Is it?
Why are you looking at me?
All right, well, we'll do, you know, an invite everybody here to come together. Then we're going to have an address, and we're still working on who's going to deliver this magnificent address. Just speaking then to Aaron Devens, the past, the present, and the future. Just giving that overall, bit of an oration, not technical, really just telling the story, the narrative. Where do we come from? Where are we now? And where do we, hope to go with all of this? Then we're going to, break out into our symposium panel discussions, right? And Robert and I were discussing this today. Not only would we love to have, for instance, the representatives from here that serve on the DEC commission, developers, regional planners, but we thought, won't it be great also to have a panel discussion, just have representatives from each of the three towns and Devens as well, and to have a panel discussion about what is this qualification? What do you think is the priority? How can we move? But just doing, it's a completely different kind of environment we're in to have these discussions. So we'll break out, have a series of panel discussions as well. And then we're going to break out in the afternoon for our mobile workshops and tours. One thing to look at, Devens, who's sitting around room looking at maps and pictures, it means nothing. You've got to get out in the actual space. So then we'll do tours. We'll work with our partners at MART, with our shuttles, not only the historic air portions of Devens. We want to look at the airport, which folks forget about, and the whole Nashua riverfront, potentially the future of that for our town. So we're going to get out there and end that day of Friday with the tours. So the morning we'll have our discussion, get ready, and then get everyone out just when you're ready to fall asleep in the afternoon, right? When you're at a conference, say, let's go out in the fresh air, go out, hit our tours. The weather's going to be beautiful, right, John? Of course, the end of February. What? Yeah, right. God, we'll see. Then Saturday, we'll regroup, and we're going to start off in the late morning. Just like you guys watch your morning shows, Good Morning America and the whole, right? We're going to have our own little Good Morning Air Devens. And I think Janice lives, would she be a great co-host? Right, get your Katie Couric vibe on. But we're going to literally set up on the great stage in the great, and we're going to live stream this, okay? On Facebook and everywhere. And we're going to have and we're going to have guests, just like a morning show. So, what was your experience yesterday? What are you folks going to have today? Why are you? We're just going to get people going in the morning. A little bit of fun with business. And we'll have food, of course, too. And then we want to break out then after that into a good sort of design charrette right up in the Great Hall. So everything folks learned the day before, and our panel discussions being out on the tours, everything, we're going to come back, we're going to set up tables with big maps, and we'll do sort of a classic design charrette. Folks saying, well, boy, I had it my way, I would do this with the river fronting. Boy, I might do this with that, and just let people kind of go. And we'll have some lunch up there as well, so we can sort of eat and be doing that. Fun. And then the great Air Devens debate. I don't know how many of you know, but our town manager, Robert Parker, is a master debater.
Thank you, Alan.
I know I can't beat him when I try to. He is the master, yes. But I discussed this with Robert as a concept of saying, wouldn't it be interesting to do sort of a mock debate, saying one person take the position of, I don't believe air should take the land back at all. And another say, I believe we absolutely must take the land for the fun. And let's do a little kind of let folks watch this. Could be interesting. And then we'll sort of bring the groups together up in the Great Hall. And let each of the groups sort of get a sense of the takeaway. What did we experience the last 2 years? Whoever wants to speak to that. Let's document that. Then the end is the really, saying there are going to be folks that are there from there, and we're going to say, folks, we're seeking maybe seven good folks who are ready for this long-term commitment. But delving into a very complex socioeconomic cultural issue that's going to take some real devotion, real investment of time, understanding what we're dealing with here. And are you ready to make this type of long-term commitment? Oh, I don't know, for the next 10 years. So this is what we're going to do in air. We're going to invite everybody, all the state legislative delegation, regional planners, our colleagues from the towns around us, business leaders in the community, nonprofit, everybody, neighborhoods, and we're going to spark it up. We're going to hit it this year. So we hope to have a very strong group. And maybe what will come out of that, once we have our strong group, maybe we can come over, visit with our colleagues in Harvard who have their committee up and going and doing good work. We can start interfacing a little bit. And then hopefully Shirley and us, and so hopefully in there, we'll really kind of, get the catalyst going this year and get folks done. Thank you very much. Okay.
Only Alan could make a 2-day symposium sound exciting. Okay. So, no, thank you, Alan. That actually does sound, quite exciting, to be honest with you. Well thought out. Any questions about this, presentation?
No questions, but I'll just make a comment. I think I'm really encouraged with the last item on your list, forming your committee.
Yes.
That is just such a vital component of what we're trying to do here is to get ideas flowing and get some feedback from all the stakeholders. I think that's what we should let do follow through, and that does happen.
I agree. Another comment as well, on your last trip with Marissa, my alternate, Marissa Rivera, and I went on Devens. It was fantastic. Well, yes, and well attended. And I
Seem to really engage you.
very much.
And this is it, Victor. Hopefully we get a large pool of folks and then we can have a large pool who'll say, yes, we're ready to serve on the committee.
I think it will help too, because I mean, we've been advertising, vacancies on committees and everything, but I think some people might be a little confused as to what we're talking about as far as the Air Devens committee. So I think that this will also provide some information and, there's food, so it's a good time, Okay, so that would also be as far as our stakeholder update, as far as the town of Air. We are still in the process of trying to form our committee. I think that since the pandemic is really over, for a lot of people, because I think for some people, they were still, we should get some more feedback and some more enthusiasm on this. And I think too, I know that Alan said, 10-year commitment. I don't want anyone freaking out that if they get appointed to the committee that they're obligated to stay for 10 years. It's only 5. They're obligated to stay for 5. So. But no, it definitely is needed. And I like the idea about the debate, the mock debate.
Yes.
Because there are people that do feel one side or the other. So I think a mock debate is also very informational and be kind of fun. It'd be kind of fun. So, Robert, do we have anything else can you think of for the town of Air's stakeholder update?
No, I think you and Alan covered it.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, with that, we'll move over to the stakeholder update, town of Harvard.
Okay, so committee has been continuing to meet past more than 3 years now, and we have good attendance, good participation. Our charge was basically to develop a plan, some kind of a draft plan for Harvard resuming jurisdiction over its portion of Devens. In October, we presented a draft of that plan to the community, and it was very well attended. It was a combined meeting, and we had about 40 people in person and another 50 people zoomed into the meeting. I made our presentation, fielded a lot of questions. There were Devens residents who did come by. So it helped us to move forward. Probably one of the dominant things that emerged from that meeting, concern on both the Harvard side and the Devens resident side, is a financial concern. From the town of Harvard, the question is, how does that impact? Is there a positive impact on our tax rate? Is it going to be a burden on the taxpayers? And then from the Devens side, expressing their concern that they have a very favorable property tax rate right now. What's going to happen if it merges? So would it be one tax rate for everyone? And what's that going to look like? So based on that, one of the things we've been working on now is to try to gather financial information on the Devens project, if you will. And we've gotten some good cooperation from Mass Development. Initially, they provided us with their fiscal 23 operating and capital budget for the entire agency, which we've spent some time breaking out the Devens portion of it. That's really clearly, you're able to do that. Devens revenues and expenses are discrete. In some portions of their budget, they're unique to Devens, like fire department, police, state police. In other portions of the budget, they're shared expenses, legal expenses, HR, information technology, and so on. But we're able to separate those. So we've got a good start on that. And our goal is to develop an omnibus budget for a combined Harvard Devens, combining both the tax base and the expense side to see what it looks like and answer questions and hopefully settle the matter. Devens seems to be a very financially viable enterprise. Right now, almost virtually all the funding is generated internally. There no longer is any external funding in the project. But having said that, combining expenses is going to be a bit of a challenge, but we're prepared to give it a stab. The next one of the concerns expressed by the board chair in Harvard was to make it clear to everyone that there are going to be other options that everybody needs to get their arms around it and consider. And so what we've done is we've taken our outline of our presentation and we've added some commentary to it. Our charge from our select board is really focused on Harvard, not the other stakeholders. But in order to kind of advance the perspective for the benefit of everyone, particularly the Harvard residents, we've put together this outline of issues that we'll be sending to our select board soon, and we expect that they will expand our charter and allow us to send it officially to other stakeholders. And one of the outcomes we think we're hoping that we'll get good feedback, and other stakeholders will also look at Devens from their perspective. But one thing we're pretty confident we'll get is there'll be many items where there is consensus already among all the stakeholders. One of them, I'm sure Peter will be glad to hear this, is that the Enterprise Commission and Unified Permitting should not be altered, that should remain in place. Zoning is an issue that might not be changed. The environmental issues, open space issues, there are a lot of aspects that I think there is consensus already, and I think that will be good to know that, but also at that point when there is a professional consultant involved in the project, this will be good information for them to have, so they know what they really don't need to spend a lot of time on it. There is, in fact, consensus in some of these items. So anyway, so those two things, the finances and the outline of issues from stakeholders is what we've been working on, and hopefully all the stakeholders will get that outline in their hands to work from, and we'll be happy to share the financial information that we've gotten already with the stakeholders. Very interesting stuff. And that's my report. Sorry it took so long.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, all right, Town of Shirley.
This will be very quick.
Yeah.
I don't have much to report. It's the same as every time we meet. I know Brian Sawyer will have it on the select board agenda now and again and talk about it. Look for volunteers, but we're just not getting it. The few that we can staff on committees, it's typically the same people. And so, we really haven't done much of moving forward. The committee is formed, but getting volunteers is another whole story. Maybe as we move forward in the group, and as Mickey just mentioned, whatever's going to happen, consultant, maybe that kind of sparks it a little bit, but as of right now, there's just not much.
Well, hopefully this symposium, if you guys would attend and everything might help spur some activity. So maybe you can, as we start announcing it more, you can just let your people know, and surely
Absolutely.
because they could help spark their interest too. I think that there are a lot of people that don't necessarily, well, first of all, none of us were around when these historical lines were with the individual towns, so we've never known any of that. And there are not that many of us necessarily that even remember when Devens existed as the fort and stuff. I mean, I do. But there are a lot of people who don't, or it just doesn't matter to them because they can't connect the dots. So hopefully we'll be able to get some dots connected soon. So, okay. All right. Devens representatives.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see everybody. I'm joined by Marissa Rivera, my alternate. Very pleased to see everybody and everybody that attended. Thanks for coming out. So must have been a year ago when I first joined. I was tasked by chairman to somehow connect the Devens residents. And thanks to the efforts of residents like Marissa, we formed an informal group of residents to connect Devens residents. And we have about 9 team members now that have said, listen, how are we going to connect people? And we kicked around a lot of stuff and said, should we do social media? And the overwhelming conclusion was probably not. So we got together and formed a door-to-door information campaign where we went to every residence and dropped off literature on every issue you could imagine, governance, expressing the need to pay attention to what's happening on Devens. And we enrolled a significant number of households to engage with us directly. I think we're up to about 100 participants now that are actually regularly communicating with, which is fantastic. And another task we had was to get them educated and activated. They've got to get out and vote. And the way we vote on Devens is to vote for the Devens committee, which is, represents the Devens residents to the stakeholders that are involved in Devens. And at the time, there wasn't a significant amount of people that were actively voting. We had a dearth of candidates for some of the vacancies. And so again, Marissa and the team went door to door with a voter registration campaign and increased voter registration significantly. We were fortunate to have activated a significant number of residents to run for the Devens committee. And we doubled voter turnout. And we were very pleased not only with the number of residents that got out and voted for our representative, one of my wives, who's our vice chairman of the Devens committee. Thank you for joining us today. So we are extremely encouraged, not only with the activation and continued education of the residents of Devens who are actively looking at 498, actively looking at the position papers that are coming out, actively looking at the Constitution of the state of Massachusetts. It's amazing what this team has taught me about the governing documents for what regulates what happens with Devens and the surrounding towns. So we are very pleased with the progress that the team has made. And even to Alan's point of the dynamic nature of the growth of Devens, not only from a business standpoint, but if you walk through Devens, the dramatic changes in the residents is just amazing. It is one of the most diverse. I would venture to say it's probably one of the most diverse communities in the state of Massachusetts. It's just absolutely amazing. So we're very pleased that we were tasked to do this. We're very pleased with the turnout, and we're very, very encouraged with what Michael and the Devens committee is going to do moving forward. So, any comments?
You probably should more credit than you should have, John.
No, but that's all right.
That was actually awesome. Great job. Are any of those residents and committee members, would they like to join the AIR?
I think that we talked about this.
Because we do need.
Almond Street is the old historic.
Okay. Yeah, because we do need some Devens representation on our committee.
Alan, you walked door to door, sats and living rooms. So we did that 7 months ago. So he's well along that line. So I think we can help.
Awesome. Great.
Yes, and I'm gonna go and visit, right, I'll do it just as John did here for the symposium up there, so that those folks know, and hopefully they will join in,
Great.
yes.
Great. So. But that was great work what you guys did. That was really inspiring. It was really inspiring. Okay. Anybody, any questions? Okay. All right. Peter.
Bill, is there anything you'd like to share on behalf of the deck? You're muted at the moment.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We'll let Peter give the update. I do want to state that Peter has announced his intention to retire in the middle of 2023. So we will be unfortunately losing his expertise, but we feel very strongly that Neil Angus is a very qualified representative and will be designated as the new land use administrator in 2023 in the next couple of months. So we're very pleased with that. So Neil is in attendance as well. So he's continued to be up to date on everything that's happening here.
So the other thing that we're doing is we're just preparing our annual report, and we'll include the development that occurred during 2022, which was over 700,000 square feet of development that was added to the base. So and also the amount of impervious surface area that's left that will be the constraint on future growth as we move forward. So we'll be informing people of that in the annual report. And I think that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Congratulations.
Yeah. So when do you?
I'm going to retire in the middle of July. I think I'll wait till Bastille Day.
Okay. Sounds perfect. Oh my goodness, we'll have to try to find an appropriate gift for Bastille Day. For retirement.
Cake or a basket with a head in it.
Okay. All right. So next on the agenda is a mass development update. So they're not here. They were invited. I sent an email to Dan Rivera, no response, which I find it odd. Just you could at least respond saying I can't now. So that being said, and you also emailed.
Yes, I sent an email to Meg, the lawyer.
Mhm.
I invited, asked if she or Dan or someone representing Mass Development was going to come, and she did get back to me and said no. Sorry. Good news.
At least there was a reply, which is, half the battle. Now in my email to Dan, I also asked that, if any of you remember Ed Sarzak, he had been working on that GIS map. Where is it? I mean, we were working on that before we went into the pandemic and went on Zoom and whatnot. So whatever happened to that map? Because we do need it. We do need that up-to-date map because that shows us not only the historical property lines, but it shows us what's federal property. And then we can get a good clear picture. So
So you need a parcel-based map showing the town boundaries for Devens. It shouldn't be too difficult to acquire from Mass Development. So I'll ask John Mark Burrell, who sort of does the map keeping, that we can get them.
great. So they'll continue to be invited. And we'll just hope for the best, but I mean, we're just going to continue on as to what we can all do together. And and just go from there. So. Any questions? Okay. All right, so under new business, I had put the Devens Jurisdiction Framework Committee website. So as you all know, we do have this website, which is on the bottom of this agenda. And Cindy is the one who has the ability to edit it. Cindy actually retired a few months ago. We just had a long string attached to her retirement. So we need to kind of come up with a new plan here as to who would update that website. So I believe, and it's up for discussion, that we should probably have two people assigned. The primary and an alternate as to who would be able, they can work with Sydney to be able to get the proper access to updating the website. With the understanding that that website is only to be updated per committee. So we don't want anybody thinking that they can just go rogue and they say, oh, I decided to add flowers to the, and it's like, what happened here? Because we need to kind of keep it under control. I mean, there are some things that need to be updated, like the people of mass development, some of the names and whatnot. But also to make sure that the agendas and the website, the meeting minutes are also posted to that. So how do we want to handle this?
Madam Chair, I would volunteer along with Cindy to work with whoever else on the transition for this. So I would volunteer to be one of the updaters moving forward, and I think the idea of having two makes sense. So we would need another volunteer, and then we could set up a time with Cindy to go over the nuts and bolts.
I mean, I volunteer also. I don't see anybody jumping up.
I
So
will as well. Regardless where you would ever find time, my God, to do this, but yes.
okay, so how does the committee, because we kind of have to have the committee agree to who's going to take care of this website. So
And by the way, I think it's a big also help if I individually can, just contribute sort of things, saying I have a great piece here and just forward it to us, but if everyone sort of contributes some content, maybe every 2 weeks or something a month, we could just, populate the site. So each of the towns could just say, yeah, we'll forward some, we'll contribute some content piece to it. If we all did that, we could have,
what do you mean by content?
Oh, whatever they, whatever's going on in their town, that they want folks to know about this process. Instead of us just people waiting, everyone could contribute little pieces, write-ups, or whatever. Images, pictures, here's what we're doing. And if each of the towns did that, maybe every 2 weeks, we'll just forward this. We would have a pretty well populated website with lots of good content, I think.
So it also would have to have I haven't looked at it in that depth, but a separate section to like saying, here's what Harvard's doing, here's what Shirley's doing.
And again, if we all contribute a little bit, I'm saying, so one person going, you're doing the website, what do you do?
Well, that's why, also, I think we all need to discuss and vote as to exactly how we want this website run. That's a good idea. But hold on, but at the same time, do we all want to see what's going to be posted? Do we all want approval on what's being posted? So we kind of need to, I think we should have a tight control of it. A great idea, but I don't know if it should turn into too much of a free-for-all.
Someone should be designated as the editor. We'll do the editor, make sure, right? Yeah, this is cool to be posted up. I believe Roberts, that's a good role, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, Dennis.
Hi, yes, Dennis Curran, Pleasant Street Air, and this is, I apologize if this is the first meeting or just kind of introductory to me in terms of where we are with this. I would just ask, when we were talking about the website, we heard the Air town manager say he would be interested in kind of keeping things up to date. We heard the Air chair of the board of selectmen say she would be interested in helping contribute and control. And currently, the AIR IT person recently retired is the one who has had editing control.
And,
the ability
and
to update.
created it.
And Alan has said, who is the AIR Community and Economic Development. The collective sense from that is the word AIR is popping up a lot. So what I would ask is, are the representatives of Harvard and Shirley, and are they interested in the website, want to see it occur, not occur? Think it's a good idea to have that as a communication vehicle or not? And there's an implicit assumption that this is a good idea. But
Well, the website has existed for a while, and, but we, and it was actually created by Cindy. So it is that we do need the one place to hold all this committee stuff.
right, so I would just ask of the representatives from Harvard, Shirley, and Devens, do they wish to see it continue and want to contribute to it, and what kind of information would they like to see posted?
Well, yeah,
In a previous iteration, this committee voted to establish it. And, you know, we were very honored that Cindy and AIR helped jumpstart it. And I think, you know, from our end, we think that, at least from my perspective, continuing to have a website and a repository for information is a good thing. It benefits everybody with a common base of information.
I would agree in that it's an important committee and it's many important topics, and the more information that you can push out or pull on a subject is good. So,
So you have two main functions of a website. One is current activities and information that people should have, and then there's the archive function. And I think right now, minutes and agendas have been loaded in there. And certainly Harvard will contribute. We've got position papers and reports that we've done, and we will actively contribute content to the website. We can do that.
I mean, as far as us, I mean, I think it's definitely necessary. I think you also have to remember that this is really the first discussion that we've had about the website in
in a while.
quite a while, probably in 2 years. You know, we haven't met. And it was, you know, going back 2 years or so ago, and Cindy developed the website, and then we really didn't meet for a long time, and then there were other issues that we were dealing with you know, mass development and stuff. So really, this is the first. In terms of, you know, me, I mean, I'm happy to always help Robert, you know, but in terms of staff, I don't have a Cindy Knox. We're very, very limited. I've been without an assistant administrator for over 2 months. So I answer the phones, I fill out HR paperwork, and I'm trying to apply for these streets. So it's very challenging for me in terms of staff. I'm very, very small. So, but I mean, I'm more than happy to help out.
So I mean, right now it is up to date with meeting minutes and the agenda, and it does have like the chapter 498 documentation, so that at least people would be able to have that. How we want to build it going forward is certainly a question. My initial question being, you know, at some point, Cindy is going to actually be able to leave the buildings. And who is going to be able to edit it, to even be able to upload those meeting minutes in the meeting agenda. So, you know, we do need to take care of that. I think that it's a good idea as far as, you know, if you've got some stuff that you want posted to the webpage. But my question is, does the committee want approval of that before it gets posted, or are we going to just leave it to the discretion of the people who have the ability to upload?
This is what I'd like to suggest is Robert as the editor, and then Robert will use his judgment. If he thinks something needs board approval to go onto the website, to bring it back to the committees.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
to that point, unless there's objection, I mean, AIR started the website, and the special thanks to Cindy for that effort. Why don't we do this? Moving forward, unless there's objection, the town of Air will continue to host the webpage. There is no objection, obviously, because it's a legal requirement as well, to posting the agendas and minutes. So we'll continue to do that. I will work with Cindy, Janice, and Alan. Cindy will train us, and we're also open, as Janice mentioned, if there's another volunteer that wants to, it's always good to have contingency to update the site. And maybe for the next meeting, a homework assignment, since this is under new business for when we meet in Harvard, if everybody could take a look at the website. We often ask this now that we're getting back together, what you like, what you don't like. There's some functionality within reason that we should have, different images, and then we could maybe make a very brief update that Janice and I can make a brief and Alan at the next meeting in Harvard about some proposed changes. And we could also, I mean, I think if there's going to be the repository for documents on the website is a public service, and I don't think anybody objects to that. That in itself is a task. The question is, as far as content outside of that, I think, as Janice mentioned in the beginning, that should come, from this group. So we're all on the same page. So things that are outside of the open meeting agenda, minutes, and documents, and that aren't, public, anything outside of that, the committee should at least be discussing. So we won't be changing all kinds of new things. And we'll have a brief update if the committee wants on the website at the Harvard. So the takeaways, we'll get trained from Cindy, we'll get a plan together, and then we'll ask everybody between now and April, as you look at the website, we're open to any suggestions, and we could do a brief discussion on that in April.
Cindy?
Yeah, I just want to say that the website is based on Readly, and what we're using is the free version of their site, which there is a limit to the number of pages, not documents per se, but the number of pages that you can create on it, and it's either 5 or it might be 10. I'm not sure, I can check. So just keep that in mind. If you want to add, a lot of different pages, then we may have to go to the paid site.
Okay, so that brings up our next question, is that going forward, because she mentioned how we're using the free, if we need to upgrade it, how are we gonna do it? Okay, and how are we going to fund it and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, you can still work within the limitations of the free pages and,
Yeah, yeah, we like
it's like
free.
it's free. Oh, yeah, free
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah,
And there's not a limitation on the documents, minutes and agendas and things like that. But
right,
So you're talking about landing pages?
yes,
Okay.
so
okay,
just, you want to keep that in mind that it is free. And,
okay.
That could be part of our
Yep.
update.
I didn't see which one of you raised your hand. Okay, yes,
Michael Alves, Devens resident. Does the Weebly have a blog feature? Or can the page just be, as long as it needs to be, can it go on forever?
It can go on.
So maybe just put new content at the top, there's a home page, and it gives information, and then the second page is updates, who knows, but you just put the new stuff at the top. And then the last thing got posted, gets pushed down.
Yeah, just the new content on the top. That's certainly one way to work within that. And I'm not sure if it's 10 pages, which is probably quite a lot for this.
okay,
I'll check on that.
okay. Pauline?
Just to throw out there, it's a very easy website to use.
Very.
It's user friendly to the max if you use websites.
Yeah.
Everybody here should actually take a look at it, find anything you want, click of a mouse, which you can't say about too many websites. And it's very well laid out, and if it's free, let's keep it as free as possible.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely agree. Just, but something to keep in the back of your head is that at some point you might need to, discuss that, so. Okay, so did we want to take a motion on that? As to going, what we're gonna do, as to who's gonna be? Everybody good? Like here's crickets. Okay,
If I could word a motion, I would, but I think everybody's good.
okay, all right. All right, anything else under new business?
I'd just like to recognize that we've been joined by Kristen Cullen, who's one of the Devens business representatives. She's online and she's from Commonwealth Fusion. We voted to put her on board. Kristen, if you're listening and not juggling too many things, you just say hello and introduce yourselves to the committee.
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Happy to join today. I think this is my first official meeting. I've been with Commonwealth Fusion Systems for 4 years, since shortly after the company was founded. We moved into Devens. We started the search process about 3 years ago and just recently moved into our headquarters here, but are still developing our 47-acre site. So looking forward to getting more involved in these discussions and the community here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
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 All right, okay. Public input. Anybody like to say anything under public input?
Perfect time.
That was actually good timing.
Never seen that.
All right, yes, Dennis.
Just, I would ask, and I know you raised the issue earlier, could we get a definitive date by which we will have the map, which obviously is a necessary component of kind of having a clear understanding of where we want to go?
I will make the ask tomorrow. I don't know when it will be delivered.
Well, what will your ask be?
It will be for a GIS parcel-based map showing the town boundaries be delivered to the Devens Jurisdictional Committee for display on the website.
By, can we say March 1st, February 15th?
I was hoping by like next week, because I think all the stuff is there. It just has to be transferred.
Or so, when is next week? I don't know, are you saying
Let's
that
say
the date?
February 1st.
Okay.
They're really slow.
Okay.
And Peter and everybody, hi, sorry, Neil Angus, the Devens Enterprise Commission. Can we be a little clearer about what the map is you're looking for? I thought I heard you were looking for state and federal, like parcel ownership as well, not just boundaries.
So when it was being worked before, 2 years ago, when we were still meeting at Mass Development, Ed Starzak was working on it. And one of the drafts that we saw also showed, where the federal properties were.
Right.
Yeah, so we kind of need it like in depth. I mean, not just the historical property lines, but like where the federal property is, because that obviously going forward and with discussions does impact things, because that federal property has fallen into somebody's historical property line. And so it does need to have that info too.
So the assessor's data would show ownership,
Okay.
and that would answer your questions.
Okay. As long as the questions get answered.
So we'll say February 1st, that's unreasonable?
And it's reasonable to me. I'm just gonna ask the question to the people upstairs and
Mass
see
Development.
what the response is from Mass Development.
And then you'll communicate that response to
Yeah.
the committee. So by February 1st, the committee will either know the date that they're gonna get the map, have the map, or we'll know that Mass Development is gonna provide the map. One of those three things will be true.
Right, so if we get the map, we'll have it uploaded to the webpage. Okay,
Just, and it's also in between all that, just for the general public. You go on the Mass GIS website, excellent website, go in, you can get it right in the Devens. And it'll show you a lot of, whether you've been asked, it's right there, it's actually the phasing of the layers. And it shows those, so you can, just encourage you to go on the Mass GIS website and just queue right in the area of Devens. And let's see, for what it's worth also, the historic boundary of Air through Devens is the county line as well, between Middlesex County and Worcester County.
Yeah,
So it's also the lines, actually. Pretty clear.
And Alan, we do have that map on our website, the deck website as well too, so I'd be happy to share that, but I would also suggest sharing the Devens, as Peter just mentioned, the Devens Assessors site, which has parcel by parcel descriptions. It's publicly available. It's a great site. That's next.axisgis.com/Devens MA. And I can email that to the group so you have it.
Email would be appreciated.
Yeah.
Will do. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thank you.
And so maybe if we're lucky, we'll have could we maybe have a hard copy for the symposium?
We're gonna need for the design sheets.
Right. So,
Absolutely.
but it needs to have, all the detail necessary. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, we can put that on the water. Map.
Yes.
They do.
Well, you make it sound like it's so easy, and yet it wasn't. We were meeting before, so I'm just a little surprised to find out it's so easy.
Conceptually, many things are.
Okay. All right. So,
Easy to do.
anything else under public input? All right. So the next meeting will be in Harvard, and that will be on April 12th, 2023, 3 p.m. Okay, this meeting is now quarterly and it rotates. So Harvard is next, and then Shirley will be after that, and then possibly Deck, or we'll go back to air if that one will choose as we get close to that. Okay. So for Harvard, where's Harvard? You're Harvard. I don't know why I'm looking over there. So as you know, how we did it, as far as I, had some agenda items and I submitted the agenda to you. So that's, so just for the future towns, how I did it is the agenda went to the chair for approval. Okay. I gave input to it and he approved it because he is the chair. I'm the vice chair. So that's how it got approved and everything. And then the town of Air made sure it was posted. Okay, so the hosting town makes sure that the agenda is all done and approved with the chair and posted in their town that they're hosting it. Okay, and then of course they're in charge of doing the meeting minutes, and whatnot. Robert's been doing it for this meeting. So, okay. So if you have any agenda items, obviously send it to the chair. So,
Well, does anyone have something they'd like to have on the agenda next time, Robert?
So two things, if I may. One is obviously we'll have a very brief website update as mentioned.
Yep.
I think the second thing for consideration and maybe some thought in this between now and April could be given. I think where it's been so much time since we, reconvened and get together, maybe at the next meeting, and to steal, Victor, one of your terms that you used in your presentation, the outline of issues. Maybe we, at the beginning, have just a very brief outline of the issues where we left off. For example, many of us were working on the issue of the RFP and the consultant, for example, and that may seem like light years away from many, but the issue of the RFP/consultant, the issue of the funding for said consultant and study, especially in light of the fact that mass development has sort of, stepped away. The map, which was brought up, which Peter will work his magic on. So I guess to cut to the chase, maybe an item, and I'd be happy to do my part and others with it, right at the beginning of that meeting is sort of where we left off and what are our next steps going to be on that. I think that would be helpful to get everybody back on. Of course, I would keep the stakeholder updates, the website, but I think just for the Harvard meeting, and this was a great meeting here in AIR, is a synopsis of all the outstanding issues.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing else.
Okay, that being the case, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, without objection, we are adjourned.